Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am Kris. This is Before we get started, it's Friday. Let's go back. It's Friday the 27th. The 20th last week. Well, the 19th. I was working, and I said it in a video. I was working, and my knee started hurting real bad. Got real red. Well, I ended up getting bursitis. So bursitis is when the bursa sacs in your knee get stressed, they rupture, and then it's like a protection mechanism, and so your knee and everything swells up with fluid. It's because your knee's hurt and your body's trying to protect you, and so it swelled up. It hurt something fierce. Friday, I was trying to install, so I'm walking down on my knees and trying to install. It was a brutal day. It hurt so much. Came home Friday and just tried to relax some, did some videos. And then Saturday morning, I ran some errands. Man, it hurt. And it was really warm. So I went to this quick care clinic and I got some antibiotic. The antibiotic was called Bactrim. And he said it looked nasty. My knee did. And he said, I just need to be careful. Blah, blah, blah. So I took this Bactrim about 12:30. I was driving home. I was eating some Arby's. And I started getting the shivers about a half hour later. And then I ended up from 12:30 up until 6:30 that night. I went into a full-on fever. My head hurt. My body ached. One of those where you're warm, then you move and you suddenly just like, oh, you just start shivering. It was unpleasant, and it kind of came out of it, and I was like, all right, good, it broke. I'm good now. That was the fever that the infection could give me. Took another one in the middle of the night. Didn't sleep too well. Took another one Sunday, about to watch the Lions-Bears game, and took one, and it hit again, just the same thing. I had a fever. I took it at it was 10 o'clock. I had a fever until 4:30, and then it broke, and I'm sweating all over. And I was like, man, this is not pleasant. So I took the next one late. I went to bed, woke up, took it, went back to sleep. Did not sleep well the rest of the night. Woke up Monday and made a call back to the clinic at 9. They called me back at 10:30, and they said, listen, the doctor would like to see you again. Come in, roll up. The redness and stuff like that in the knee was gone, but most of it was still swollen. So he looks at it and he's like, okay, looking better. I was worried. He gives me a different medication. I'm taking that. It's fine. It started to break and fluids running down, like going down the inside of my leg. So where my socks are, if I move my socks, like my leg comes down, and then where my socks are, it's like, because the socks are so, the elastic is tight on your skin, so the fluid cannot penetrate that. So it's really weird. But I'm supposed to keep it rested and elevated. I still have this giant, little bubble on my knee. And my fear is that I return to work Thursday next week, and if it's still there, I might have to go to the hospital and get it drained, which isn't terrible, but it's not pleasant. This is the 5th time I've had it in 10 years, so it's just it's something that eventually will have to stop me from working, because I can't keep putting that stress on my knee. But anyway, so that's where I'm at now. No more sickness, no more nothing, no more fevers. I stopped that medication, instantly felt better. So that's that. This video is sponsored by Mohamad, and thumbs up, subscribe, thanks button. You get it. Let's get to the video.
And covered up. So we learn many things from this narration. First and foremost, that Iman and taqwa in and of itself does not necessarily 100% protect you from sihr. Rather, it can minimize the effects of sihr. So, someone like the Prophet ﷺ, how can we possibly, he is the symbol of Iman. Nobody can even come close to him. And yet, for a wisdom that Allah knows, He allowed our Prophet ﷺ to feel the effects of sihr. So this shows us that Iman and taqwa, in and of themselves, might not be a 100% effective mechanism to protect you from sihr. However, they definitely minimize the impact of the sihr. So the general rule, the more Iman you have, the less the impact of the sihr on you. Your Iman acts like a barrier between you and the sihr. And the stronger your Iman, the less the impact of the sihr. And in the case of our Prophet ﷺ, we clearly see this. What was the impact of sihr? The max was that he woke up thinking something halal had happened, right? How is that in and of itself problem? It's just
Sorry, my phone was lighting up.
Bothersome at the most trivial level, isn't it? Right? There's no physical pain, there's no ailment, there's no haram imagination. For our Prophet, it's literally just like the most trivial irritation. That I have to take a ghusl. Aisha says, no, we don't have to take ghusl. Why are you thinking this? And that was because of the sihr. We also learn from this narration that most magic occurs by using some type of body parts of the one upon whom the magic is done. And of course, to use a body part, you're not going to cut something off. So the most common things used are hair and nails. This is the most common thing used. Hair and nails, and also clothing items. These are typically used, but not necessarily. You can do sihr without them. But typically these things are used. We also learn that one of the main ways to combat sihr is through dua to Allah. Because Aisha says he kept on making dua, he kept on making dua. فَدَعَا ثُمَّ دَعَا ثُمَّ دَعَا. So one of the main ways to combat sihr is through dua. We also learn from this that it is very helpful to know where the item is. Because the angel told him the item is in the well. And Aisha said, why didn't you get the well out and destroy it? Which means for most of us, it would be very beneficial to get to the item and destroy it. And we also learn it's not necessary to destroy, to eliminate the sihr. Because our Prophet did not, according to one narration, eliminate it. Rather, he said, Allah has cured me from it. And he covered up the well and basically made it to be, the whole area was demolished. According to another hadith, the angels recited Surah Falaq and Surah Nas. And according to another narration, Surah Falaq and Surah Nas were revealed because of this occasion. So, we learn therefore that Surah Al-Falaq and Surah Al-Nas are of the most powerful cures for sihr. And both Falaq and Nas basically directly or indirectly talk about sihr. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ مِنْ شَرِّ مَا خَلَقَ وَمِنْ شَرِّ غَاسِقٍ إِذَا وَقَبَ وَمِنْ شَرِّ النَّفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ. I seek refuge in Allah from the evil of those women who are blowing on knots. شَرِّ النَّفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ. Naffathat is the females that are blowing. And uqad is nas, basically directly or indirectly talk about sihr. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ مِنْ شَرِّ مَا خَلَقَ وَمِنْ شَرِّ غَاسِقٍ إِذَا وَقَبَ وَمِنْ شَرِّ النَّفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ. I seek refuge in Allah from the evil of those women who are blowing on knots. شَرِّ النَّفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ. Naffathat is the females that are blowing. And uqad is knots. And this is what they would do. One of the types of sihr is to take some hair, to take some item and tie some knots and then do your incantations, do your, similar to voodoo dolls in our times, right? You throw a pin in and you do this. So all of this is types of sihr. And Allah says, I seek refuge in you from the evil of those that are doing sihr. And قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ مَلِكِ النَّاسِ إِلَهِ النَّاسِ مِنْ شَرِّ الْوَسْوَاسِ الْخَنَّاسِ الَّذِي يُوَسْوِسُ فِي الصُّدُورِ مِنَ الْجِنَّةِ وَالنَّاسِ. General seeking refuge in Allah from the jinn. And the jinn are the cause of sihr. So, we talked about 3 stories. Musa, Sulaiman, and the Prophet ﷺ. From this, we learn that sihr is a reality. You cannot deny it. It's very clear in the Quran and Sunnah. Explicit. And therefore, the question arises, what exactly is sihr? All of this was somewhat of an introduction because I wanted to prove to you that nobody can deny sihr if you believe in the Quran and Sunnah. What exactly is sihr? Well, before we get to what is sihr, let us say what it is not. When I say magic, when I say sihr, we are not talking about the tricks that entertainers do of our times. The types of trickery that entertainers do on the street or on television, and they call themselves magicians, this is not the sihr that we are talking about. That entertainment deals with illusions, optical illusions, sleight of hand, that he'll convince you that a ball is in his hand, in reality he's already put it in the other hand. And he does this and that, and you think it's in this hand, lo and behold, he pulls it out of the other one, right? Basically, the type of magic that we see on television, which is entertainment.
When I was in 5th grade, so I would have been 10 or 11. They had a magician. They had a magician come to our school, and we had a big. Everyone was in the gym, the gymnasium, as some like to call it, and we're all there. And this guy, he's doing these different magic tricks, and he calls people up from the crowd. And unfortunately, I was one who got pulled up. I did not want to go, and he was doing this. He was doing a couple of cups, spinning them around, and the ball underneath and everything like that. And I'm just kind of watching him. And my dad used to do stuff like that. My dad, 10 being like, it's a living. 9, it's a living. 8, it's a living. 7, it's a living. 6, you're opening up for other people who are really good. 5, same thing. 4, you're performing in front of senior citizen homes, and most of them are asleep. 3, you're wishing you were performing in senior citizen homes while they were asleep. 2, you're still practicing. 1, you just started, but if you've been doing this for over 9 minutes, you should have at least picked up something. My dad was probably in the 4 to 5 range. It was just something he enjoyed doing. He liked doing the sleight of hand stuff and making kids like, oh, how'd you do that? That was fun to him. Never going to turn it into anything else. So anyways, I'm watching this magician do all these things, and I'm watching him do it, and I'm predicting where it's going to go. And I was right. Do another one. I was right. And then he starts doing the card thing to me, and he's like, okay, pick a card, and he puts it in there, and he has me take my card, and there was a student and a teacher behind me. And he goes, okay, so he's like looking at me and I'm looking at him. Students here, teachers back there. And he goes, I want you to take this card and I want you to do this so that the student can see it. And I'm thinking the teacher's in on it because, teacher's in on it. It has to be. So I do this. I take my card and then I just cover it like this, and I just do like this, and I kind of shine it down. So it's just him being able to see it, not the teacher. And he goes, did everyone get a good look? Did you guys get a good look? And the teacher goes, no, I didn't. He goes, hold up so the teacher can see it. And now, as he's saying that, I've got my card. He goes, hold up so the teacher can see it. And I just stick my card right back in the deck like that. And then I because he had the deck in his hand. He's like, hold up so the teacher can see it. And I just shuffle, just put it right in there. And I go, teacher doesn't need to see it. And he goes, you think the teacher's in on this, don't you? Yes, I do. He goes, okay. Do you remember your card? Yeah. He says, this other student, do you remember his card? Student's like, yeah. He goes, okay. Takes the deck of cards and he goes, here, I want you to shuffle them any way you want, for as long as you want, however you want, and give them back to me. Okay. So I'm shuffling them with them facing me, and I'm doing this at first, and then one of these, because like I say, I know my card, so I'm looking for my card, right? I'm doing all this and that, and I don't see it, but I know the card's in there, and I don't see it, and then I catch a glimpse of it, and I'm like, okay, so I do know, like he didn't pull it out or anything like that. So I do this, and I go, here you go. He takes the deck and he goes, like, 7 of clubs. And I'm like, I just hand him the deck. He just takes it and goes, 7 of clubs. And then he turns around and he looks at the kid behind me and he goes, what? And before he can say anything, I go, wizard! And I just walked off. And a bunch of the students started laughing. And the teacher goes, did you call him a wizard? And I was like, only a wizard would know that. And I'm walking off. And to this day, I don't know how he knew. But if I saw him, I would like to punch him right in the kneecaps or the shins, because I don't understand how he allowed me to shuffle so much and he knew what the card was. And I was even like flipping around the other way. Like I did all this, looking at it like this, and then flipped it around one time and just kind of gave a little thing. There was no earmarks, no nothing. And then I put it down and I went, tapped it like that, handed it to him. And he just took the deck and he goes, 7 of clubs. And then he just set it down. And I'm like, and something inside of me actually got angry. You let me shuffle the cards for a full minute? You wasted 1 minute in my life shuffling cards? You scumbag? I just went, wizard! And I just walked off. I was so mad.
Pulling rabbits out of hats and sawing people in half and whatnot. This has nothing to do with actual sihr. A real sahir is not an entertainer on television, even if he wants to appear like this. A real sahir is not somebody that's going to be doing these tricks of trades and magic cards and whatnot. This is not sihr. By and large, this is nothing to do. This is illusion, sleight of hand, misdirection, modern technology. A lot of these magicians are using state-of-the-art technology even nowadays. And even, for example, Harry Houdini of the 100 years ago was using technology of his era that we now think is pretty backward. But for his era, he's using state-of-the-art stuff, right? Similarly, the magicians of our times are using state-of-the-art technology to make it appear something that you do not understand. And also, a lot of them are mass deception, i.e., you see things on television and the reality is, it is well known, the audience is staged. They're paid or they're volunteers or whatever, and the plane disappears and the audience is gasping, oh wow. Well, the audience is in on the act basically, and it's entertainment for us watching on ABC, NBC. This is not real sihr. Real sihr does not occur as entertainment. So that sihr has nothing to do with Fir'aun and the story of Musa and Labid ibn al-A'sam. That's not what we're talking about. Now, some of our scholars...
I didn't want to do this. I did not want to do this. But I'm going to. Look me in the eyes. See that? Yeah. See that magic? You saw me over here. Then I appeared over here. I can teach you. It's a class. It's a course. I can teach you a class. I can teach you a whole course. It runs about $17,000 per hour. Mandatory 257 hours. You yourself can know what it's like to be here and then over here. How about over here? I think I slid a little bit on the last one, but you don't pay attention to that. See? I know. Listen. Shh. It's something that I don't like to broadcast, I don't like to brag about these things. I think that it is... Let me get a drink. I think that it's important to not let people know that I have the ability to suddenly be down here, because now you're like, wow, this guy really knows how to edit the video. And there we are, we're back. I'm exhausted from hitting the pause on the recording and then moving. Back to the video, guys.
Are very strict and they say all of that is haram, and I understand, and definitely it's not something that we want to encourage, but at the same time I don't think that that is haram. And our children like to see these acts, and they know, our children even at a young age know when the rabbit is pulled out of the hat, there's some type of illusion. I don't understand how. It's just cute to look at, right? In my humble opinion, and I know a lot of greater ulama, far more knowledgeable than me, have said it is haram, but realistically, living in this society, we're surrounded by these magicians. That is not haram. That is just entertainment. Whether it's encouraged, no, it's not encouraged. And I wouldn't encourage our young men and women to get involved. But it's not a stepping stone to devil worship. Let's be real here, right? If you get a magic set on Amazon.com and it gives you these tricks and whatnot, it doesn't tell you how to worship the devil. You have trick cubes and trick boxes, and you know what I'm talking about here, right? That is simple child's play, and no doubt our children should be interested in more serious things, but that's not haram. It's just entertainment and whatnot. So then what type of sihr are we talking about? We are talking about sihr that is in our vernacular called black magic or the dark arts. That in our vernacular is called, this is the dark arts. And the type of sihr that the Quran talks about is the sihr that deals with the jinn. That is the type of sihr that of course has been prohibited. So, for those who came late, I said that we had already talked about the reality of the jinn. I'm not going to go over all of the details of that, but just a quick refresher. If we understand the reality of the jinn, we will understand the reality of magic. So when I say magic from now on, we're not talking about the fake magic. I call that, entertainment magic. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about actual sihr. So if we understand the reality of the jinn, we will understand the reality of sihr, because you cannot have sihr without the jinn. The jinn intrinsically go with sihr. There's no such thing as sihr without jinn. Clear? Every sihr has to have jinn involved, because in the end of the day, how does something happen? The magician has no power. That's why Musa accused them, you're frauds. You don't have any power, and you know that. You're lying. The magician pretends that he has power. In reality, the power of the magician is nothing other than the physical, natural services of the jinn. So if we understand what the jinn are naturally capable of, and we understand that the jinn have, for some reason, what that reason is we'll talk about now, agreed to help the magician, we will understand that magic is nothing other than what the jinns are naturally capable of doing. There's no supernatural, there's no mystical, there's no semi-divine. The jinns are not all powerful. Rather, Allah has given them strengths that He has not given us. And He has given us strengths that He has not given them. So when the magician utilizes the strengths of the jinn, we don't have to be astonished and amazed and say, oh my God, how did he do that? Rather, just like we can see a man galloping on a horse at, mashallah, tabarakallah, how fast does a horse gallop? I have no idea, 40 miles an hour, I don't know, 40, 50.
700-800 miles an hour, I don't know.
Miles an hour, right? Now, imagine if we saw the man galloping on a horse, right? Would we say, mashallah, how did he do? We know a horse goes 50 miles an hour, what's the big deal? Correct? Now imagine if we couldn't see the horse and we saw the man going that fast.
In the seated position doing this, I'd be like, what is going on with that guy? That guy clearly took my course. And you too can learn how to...
We would be pretty freaked out, right? But once we understand that it's just the jinn doing it, nothing supernatural. Now, when I say nothing supernatural, for the jinn, it's not supernatural. For us, from our world, it's supernatural. For our world, but not for the jinn. For the jinn, it's totally natural. And so if we understand the physical and psychological nature of the jinn, we will understand magic completely. And wallahi, we will not fear it anymore. Because it is ignorance that causes us to fear this. We will not fear it at all, any more than we fear a predator. Yes, if we see a snake, I will be scared. But that's a natural fear. Okay, so if we discover magic, we should also, some of us might feel a natural fear, but there should not be a fear of the unknown or unknown. It's just that it's bewildering for us because we cannot see the jinn. We cannot see it. That's why it throws everything into confusion. If we could see the jinn, we would fear it like we fear a beast, like we fear a predator, like we fear it. But because we cannot, our fear becomes mystical. And sometimes even borders on shirk or beyond what it should be, and that's a problem. So quickly again, we've done this in a lot of detail in the previous lecture, which is the reality of the jinn. What are some of the physical characteristics of the jinn? What are the jinn made of? What type of fire? Smokeless fire. Go back to my lecture. What did I theorize? What are the jinn made of? My humble hypothesis is energy. Take it or leave it as not based on the Quran and Sunnah. It's just my in light of modern science, there's this intuition that I've personally believe, and the more I study and the more I read, the more this is personally I believe this. But again, this is not Quran and Sunnah. They're a type of energy. A type of energy. So if they're a type of energy, how fast can they go? Quite literally, the speed of light. Quite literally. Quite literally, they travel at the speed of light, right? If they're energy, then do physical structures block them? No. Just like my phone is working right now and we're inside the room. Right? Just like radio waves, just like other waves are coming into this room, and the physical structure has nothing to do with them. It's nothing. They're not body. And this also, by the way, I talked about this. A lot of people say, what is the original form of the jinn? Well, who told you they have an original form? Who told you that? They don't, most likely, they don't have an original form. There is no such thing as an original form for that which doesn't have a shape. They don't have any. So they can, they're shapeshifters, for the modern science fiction guy. They can change shape because that's a part of their nature, that Allah created them so that they can accommodate. They're not a particular body. So they're made out of smokeless fire, so this makes them invisible to us, right? And this also, so they have the capacity to, and this is, we know this from the Quran and Sunnah, we also know this from our own experiences. They have the capacity to transfer from one energy to another. I'm using my vernacular. So they can become physical, and they can be seen to us when they want to. So how do they do that? In our modern vernacular, they'll simply shift into the color spectrum of light waves. Because for us, what's the only energy we can sense and feel? It's a very, very small window. This is physics, by the way, or the physics guys here. What is the only energy that we can see, I should say? It's a very small window.
Okay, sorry about that. Phone.
And that's red, orange, yellow, blue, indigo, violet, green, blue, indigo, violet, the colors of the spectrum, right? So the jinn have the capacity to just move their energy into that level, if you like, and they can then appear to us. They have the capacity to project their voice so that we can hear the energy of the sound. But it's all energy. It's all, that's a part of who they can be. So they are invisible, and Allah says in the Quran, إِنَّهُ يَرَاكُمْ هُوَ وَقَبِيلُهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا تَرَوْنَهُمْ. Iblis and his tribe can see you from places you cannot see them. So in this regard, they have the upper hand. They can see you and you cannot see them. They can make their presence known to you. You don't have any clue where they are or not. Okay. Also, we learn that the jinn, generally speaking, are more stronger than men physically. This doesn't mean they have infinite power. Only Allah has that power. It just means that an average jinn is physically stronger than an average man. Just like an average man is physically stronger than an average woman. That's all it is. Therefore, some jinns are weaker than average people. Some jinns are weaker than a child. But average strength of a jinn is stronger than the average strength of a man. This doesn't mean they're all powerful. This means maybe you need 3, 4, 5 people to hold a jinn down if they're in a body, let's say. Doesn't mean that they're all powerful, right? Only Allah Azza wa Jal is. Also, once you understand, again, your fear becomes natural rather than supernatural. And another thing that we learned from the story of Sulaiman and Sheba, Bilqis, the queen of Sheba, another thing that we learn is that the jinn have a very unique power, which is truly bizarre, and physicists who are Muslims should really marvel at this, and that is the power to transform matter into energy and back into matter again. And that's something that we are trying to figure out how to do. E equals mc squared. Energy and matter are related, we know this. And the jinn have the power to do this. How do we know this? The throne. The throne of Bilqis, or the queen of Sheba. The throne that from Yemen to Jerusalem. قال عفريت من الجن. Now, jinns, we talked about this in the last class, there are many levels, and ifrit are the most evil and the most powerful. Ifrit are what Western literature calls demons of the jinn. These are the worst of the worst. So the ifrit said, I can bring you the throne before you even stand up. Which makes total sense, physically speaking, from physics, I mean. If the jinn can go and come back at the speed of light, and this one jinn is so powerful. Now again, this is my 2 cents, and I said this in the other class. It is as if Allah is saying this is the max that any jinn can possibly do, because Sulaiman had control over all the jinns, and one of them said, just one, which means the rest, they don't have that power, right? So we need to put things into perspective, that the jinns are not all of them so powerful. Can we have some, there's a lot of noise in the back, if we can, if we can just, it's like,
I'm going to go ahead and end it there. We're halfway done. So this is part 3. Hope you're enjoying it. Hope I didn't scare you with my magic tricks. I don't want you to look at me and think I'm amazing because I can do this. Don't fear the power, okay? I don't want to scare you. Some people got scared last time when a certain jinn appeared. What's up? I'm Cletus the Jinn. One thing that jinn never does is knows how to put the wig away. So, got to keep that hidden. Don't want random people to come in and see that wig there and think, all right, didn't know he was that kind of a person. If that was me, but it's not. So we're going to end it there. Goodbye. Until next time. Have a good day. Have a good night.